Hi guys, hope you're all having a great week. Just a quick one from me here at the Straight Talking podcast. Just wanted to say a big thank you from all of us for the support we've received. It's been brilliant, guys. 450 subscribers on YouTube. They're growing every single day. Thousands of views on some of our videos. It's been brilliant, guys. Just wanted to say a massive, massive thank you, not just from me and Chiz, but the editors. Everyone who's involved, our guests as well. I know they really, really appreciate the support they've had on all their videos, sort of thing. We've got some really good things planned for you guys, ranging from today's podcast, which I hope you enjoy, with Ollie Wright. He's got a brilliant story. Hopefully we can sort of bring that to light with you guys. We're also really, really happy to kind of announce, if you like, that we partner with Cheap Xbox Marketplace. Basically, guys, they sell copies of games on Xbox for 50% off. We're now partnered with them, so we can now offer any of you guys that deal. So please get in touch with me, Chiz, whether it be on Instagram, YouTube, in the comments, whatever it is, guys, and basically we'll sort you out to get 50% off whatever game you want. It is all on new gen console, just so you're all aware, but the ins and outs of it, just like I said, message us, and if you want to kind of have an opportunity to get one of these games for a much discounted price, then we can probably sort you guys out. So that's all great. Also, we're doing a free giveaway at the moment, FIFA 22 on the new gen console. So a giveaway, whoever wins will get the game FIFA 22 for free. So again, big thank you to the Cheap Xbox Marketplace. Great partner. We're really, really looking forward to sort of moving forward with them for the future. Anyway, guys, I hope you really, really enjoy the podcast. Like I said, great guest on today. Ollie's got a great story, very unique. I think quite different to the podcast you've had on already. So yeah, real guys, hope you enjoy. Thank you. Podcast today, joined by English professional footballer, currently playing the USL Championship, Ollie Wright. How you doing, Ol?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. Not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How you getting on in the States then? How's it going? Decent?
Yeah, it's good, mate. I mean, I'm halfway through the season at the moment, and we're sitting in playoff position, so no complaints so far, that's for sure.
That's good. Playoffs.
No,
Good luck.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
Case of missing home or enjoying life?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't been home now in a little over a year. I think it's been a year and a half now, so I'm missing home. Obviously, the COVID situation hasn't helped, but I mean, you got to make sacrifices in this sport. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I've sacrificed seeing my family, and it's paid off because I managed to get a professional contract. But no, I definitely miss him for sure.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. So what we do, mate, is we tend to kind of go back to the start, where we've kind of grown up, where we're from, sort of thing, and then work ourselves up. So for you, just talk us about, obviously born in London, kind of growing up. How was your kind of childhood like? How did that look like?
So, I mean, as most kids in the UK, I was introduced to soccer from pretty much from birth. Do you know what I mean? My dad was into it, and I remember from being literally a toddler, always following him around with the soccer ball and going to his games and stuff like that. So, literally from when I can remember, I was introduced to football / soccer, whatever you want to call it, and it was great. It was great fun. I met a lot of great people from it. I played at a few academies in London, and also low-level Sunday league stuff, which was it was really fun for me. Do you know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing I gained from that, like I said earlier, was friendships. Some of the people that I still speak to this day are people that I knew from 7, 8 years old when I first started playing football. Do you know what I mean? So I have a lot to thank for this game. It's taken me to some unbelievable places, and I'm really grateful for it.
You mentioned academies. I saw you played for Fulham and Brentford, was it?
So, yeah, and QPR as well.
And QPR. Oh, so how were your times at? Which one would you say was your favourite for your development?
My favourite, I would probably say QPR, because when I was at Fulham, I was 9, and Brentford, I was 11 or 12. Whereas QPR, 14, 15. So I was more mature at that time. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like that was when football became really serious for me. Do you know what I mean? That was when I thought okay, professional is an option or something I want to try and achieve. When I was a kid, I was kind of playing for the clout. Do you know what I mean? When you play for Fulham as a kid, you go to school and tell everyone. Whereas when I was 14, 15 years of age, it was okay, I've got to get my head down now. Do you know what I mean? So I think development-wise, definitely QPR, but I enjoyed all of them the same. Do you know what I mean? It was a great experience.
So growing up then, kind of football was number one always? Was there anything like, was there something else which kind of took your interest, or was it sort of, football was my
Not
thing?
at all, mate. Not at all. I mean, I was always that kid that was getting in trouble at school for talking, just being too hyper and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I always, whenever I was in the classroom, I just wanted to get out onto the field and start playing. Do you know what I mean? So soccer definitely was the main thing for me. I mean, I played a few other sports. Like I was lucky to be like quite all-rounded at sports like cricket, tennis, stuff like that. But I was never like exceptional at any of them. Do you know what I mean? I would just play them for fun, play them at school level and stuff like that. But no, football definitely is number one.
Yeah. And so for academies then, because, being myself as well, sort of in the academy system,
Yeah.
How do you view that then? Because obviously being in the States now, having gone to St. Mary's and now in San Antonio and things like that, how do you view your time in the academies in terms of how it helped you, and also sort of maybe things you learned there? So obviously you play for a few. So obviously, go on.
I think the biggest thing when I was at academies was overcoming like adversity. So I was released from all three of those clubs, and so it was really difficult for me to be like, especially as a young lad, it's difficult to be like, okay, you've had this setback, you've got to kind of get over it and bounce back. Do you know what I mean? So that was really difficult for me. And I feel like I've carried that into my professional career, because there's times where I'm on the bench or I'm injured or I'm not getting in the squad. And it's kind of like, I've got to mentally be prepared to be able to overcome those obstacles. And I feel like having gone through those things at such a young age, it's just helped me to kind of be able to overcome those things when it comes to it now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If you had to give advice to, say, young players that do get released from clubs, obviously you experience it 3 times, what advice would you give to be able to, deal with it and kind of not be like, oh, I'm going to quit now? Like, what advice would you hand?
Well, I mean, to be honest, mate, it just really depends on how much you want it. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people I know that got released and they've gone to be successful in other areas of life, and they have quit football. But if you really want to play football as a career and you believe in yourself, I think self-belief is the most important thing. Like I said, I was released from QPR at like 15 or 16, I can't quite remember. And in my head, I'm thinking my dream's done, because we look at the top stars in Europe and they're all breaking onto the scene at 16, 17, 18. And so in my head, I'm thinking, I've just been released, I'm not going to make it. Do you know what I mean? But then I was lucky that my family support system was really strong. So like they helped me kind of get over it. But I think if you have self-belief, then you know that you're going to make it regardless. I had to wait an extra 6 years after I got released till I signed my first professional contract. And it was in the middle of nowhere in Texas. Do you know what I mean? So if you'd have told me that at the time, I would have laughed in your face. If you'd have said to me when I got released from QPR, oh, don't worry, mate, in 5-6 years' time, you're going to sign a professional contract in San Antonio, Texas, I would have been like, there's no way. But I think just staying on top of it and keeping confident is really important.
That's some good advice.
In terms of your releases then, just touching on that just briefly, what is there a particular release you remember thinking, wow, that was hard? Or was it always similar sort of feeling?
I think, well, my first one when I was at Fulham, I got released at, it was so long, I want to say 10 or 11, around one of those ages anyway. And I remember my dad came over and told me, and I remember thinking he was joking, because I was like, I didn't even think being released was an option. I was so young, do you know what I mean? That wasn't even in my head. And I remember thinking he was joking, and then he was being serious. And I just remember crying my eyes out for a day or two. But then the one from QPR hurt, because that was when you either get released or you sign a scholar, which is obviously when you start getting paid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in my heart of hearts, I felt like I deserved the scholar. I felt I had a good season that year. And so I think that one was just such a shock that it kind of really hurt, do you know what I mean? But like I say, you just have to kind of get over those things. You have to deal with it, and there's worse things that can happen in life, do you know what I mean? So I think you just have to look at the positives and try and overcome it as well as you can.
Definitely.
How do you view it then in terms of like now being a professional footballer, looking back at these clubs now? Because you must have some sort of you thinking like a lot of people would have made wrong decisions on you at those times. Because I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's say Fulham, for example, getting released so young, whoever's released you there, must be looking at it now thinking, wow, I released the guy who's now a professional footballer at 11. I've clearly made a mistake there. So is there anger towards these guys, or is it more, if this is life, this, we kind of move on sort of thing?
Yeah, it's life, mate. I mean, there's such a small percentage of kids that actually make it, especially in England. Do you know what I mean? So I think it happens all the time. There's plenty of people I've played against, even when I was back in England playing, Sunday league level, that I've looked at and I thought he's better than some people playing in the Premier League, more talented and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's such a hard sport to get into. Do you know what I mean? Especially in England, like I say. And I think a lot of the time there is some talent that's missed, but you can't dwell on it too much, otherwise you'll be stuck in the past forever. I've got to accept it. I've got to move on and just make the most of the situation I'm in currently. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's so important, mate, because I feel like so many people now because I've got a lot of friends who've been released alongside myself in England, who maybe have just been sort of like, it's taken them years to get over. Do you know what I mean? And for you, like, to be really, because I've been released twice in England. So for me, I've always felt that's quite a few times. For you, being released 3 times is almost, especially in the world of football, I see it as that's almost unheard of at 16. You know what I mean? I don't know many, you probably want to people I know have been released that many times and then gone on to the sort of thing. So yeah, 100%. I would just say to anyone sort of listening, like, stamina and motivation is almost the most important thing. It's almost like, do you know what you said? I think it's so important.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree, mate. Completely agree.
So going on then to America, and that move to America then, was it 2016, is it, that you made the move?
2017, summer of 2017. Yeah.
So how did that come about then? Talk us through that.
So I was playing college, like English college. I was playing football and doing like BTEC sport and stuff like that. And I remember one day a man and his wife came into our classroom and kind of gave us a conversation about, people that haven't quite made it pro in England by 18. There's potential steps that you can go to America and pursue an education as well as a collegiate football career, soccer career. And I remembered because a friend of mine did it the year before. And I remember seeing Instagram pictures and stories and stuff like that and thinking, that looks cool. You know what I mean? Like the lifestyle looks great. So I looked into it. And fortunately enough, the coach of St. Mary's, the old head coach of St. Mary's, Matt Barnes, happened to be in London at the time. And I had a game the next day. So I got in touch with this guy that did the presentation at the school. And I said, yeah, like, I'm really interested. And he was like, okay, cool. So he got in touch with the St. Mary's coach who came to watch my game the next day. And it all just kind of happened from there, really. It was so quick. After the game, he came up to me and gave me an official offer at St. Mary's. And from then I was working on visa paperwork and application for the school and stuff like that. And before you know it, I was jetting off to San Antonio. You know what I mean? It was crazy, mate. It all happened so fast.
Yeah, sure.
After one game, that's quick. That's something I never hear before.
It was great. Yeah. I really wasn't expecting it. And I wasn't aware of like the collegiate system, like the D2, D1 and stuff like that. So as soon as he gave me the offer, I was like, yeah, I'll just take it. I didn't even really look into it too much, you know what I mean? And I regret it a little bit, because part of me wishes, maybe I looked for a bigger D1 school and maybe could have got drafted or something like that. But, everything happens for a reason. And I got to where I am today because of St. Mary's, you know what I mean? So I have everything to owe to them.
Yeah. You say you were nervous when the offer came about, thinking, going to America, like, it's not like it's close, it's not next door, it's far. It's very, especially Texas, like 10 hours away on a plane.
Yeah.
So were you quite nervous, and how were you feeling on the way?
I was, but so in my head, I'd had like conversations with my parents about it and stuff like that. And in my head, I truly thought I was going to hate it. So I was going there with an open mind, thinking, if I do hate it, worst comes to worst, I get a flight back and I can come back tomorrow if I want to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so yeah, I went there with a really open mind, and after 2 days, mate, I fell in love with it. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, this is where I want to stay. This is where I want to live. And you do miss family, like, that's obvious. But with technology nowadays, I can FaceTime them whenever I want to and call them whenever. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as hard as it would have been 25 years ago. You know what I mean? When like literally you had to send letters and stuff like that to speak to your family. It's a lot easier nowadays. So it was difficult at first. The transition was hard, but it smoothed over eventually.
To touch on St Mary's then, how was that like you almost met and you and the coach are such a good gel and it just worked from the off? Or was it a case of, was there kind of settling in period for you when you got there?
No, there was, football-wise, there was a massive settling in period. It took me best part of 2 years, to be honest with you. Well, two semesters anyway. My freshman semester, I had a really poor semester on the field. I was focusing a lot on my social life and stuff like that, which I think is important, especially considering I knew no one coming over. I think it's important to get friends off the field and kind of enjoy yourself at the same time. But that definitely had a massive impact on my on the field performances. I only scored 1 goal that year, which was the last game of the season. So it just goes to show that like it really did take a toll on my performances. You know what I mean? And then my sophomore year, I did a bit better. I got, I think, 3 or 4 goals and some assists as well. And then my summer after my sophomore year was when it really kind of took off for me. Like I went to play USL League 2, which is like the summer league thing, and with Corpus Christi, and like I got great stats and stuff like that. And that's when like I really realised that being a professional in the USA is like a viable option. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So I've seen for Corpus Christi that you hold the record for the amount of assists in the league.
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, yeah. So for you then, comparing the level between playing with St Mary's in sort of the regular semester compared to going to the summer, how do the levels sort of differ between the two? And also in England, you know, going over to St Mary's, were you surprised the level better than you thought, or?
That's a good question. I think so. The difference between Corpus and St Mary's, I would say, is obviously St Mary's is a Division 2 program, whereas the League Corpus we're playing in USL League 2 is like a mix of everything. Like you could be NAIA, you could be JUCO, you could be D2, D1, anything. And it's kind of a mixed pot, you know what I'm saying? So there were a few players that I played with at Corpus that were like, you know, out of this world. And a couple of them have gone on to sign professional contracts as well. So I think the biggest difference was everyone at Corpus wanted a career in football afterwards. Okay. Whereas some people areas were just there to, like, don't get me wrong, there was a handful of guys that, you know, really wanted to go pro, but a lot of them were just there to get their education paid for, understandably so, you know what I mean? But maybe football wasn't a career choice for them. So I think that was the biggest difference. And with regards to the difference between England, just the heat, I think, mate, like everyone over here is so much fitter. They can run for days, do you know what I'm saying? So I think that's probably the biggest difference. I was gassing out after 10, 15 minutes when I first came over because of the heat, you know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest one for me, I think.
Yeah. And in terms of your kind of mindset at St Mary's kind of over the years, would you say it developed? Did you kind of develop into this sort of like young lad fresh from London, getting used to it, to sort of like almost like a man looking to play for Corpus Christi in the summer, looking to go professional? Did you feel that change, or?
Yeah, I think the biggest change was mental, definitely. I realised that there's some things I've got to clean up off the field if I want to get to where I want to get to, you know what I mean? I have to work on my diet. I have to maybe sacrifice going out with the boys on the weekend and stay in and get some rest and look after my body, you know what I mean? I had to become a professional before I was a professional, which was difficult, but like I said earlier, you've got to make sacrifices in this game, and if you don't, you're not gonna get to where you want to get to.
Yeah,
I really like that quote. You have to become a professional before you are a professional, like mentally, which some people won't do that. They'll just think, it'll come, but I think mental is definitely very, very key part in doing things. Otherwise,
definitely, mate. I think, I mean, there's a saying as well. What is it? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, or something like that. And I think really that's really important, because, like I said, there's so many people that are talented and stuff like that that unfortunately won't make it to the next level, and it's got nothing to do with their ability. It's just purely because being a professional is really difficult off the field as well. You know, you can't always go out with your boys. You can't always go and eat whatever you want to eat. You have to be really disciplined, and it's difficult for some people. It was difficult for me to start with. I mean, you get used to it, but that's the hardest bit.
Yeah, sure. So let's run through then some of the accolades you kind of achieved at St Mary's. So here I've got All Heartland Conference, third team in 2018, 2019 named Lone Star Conference Player of the Year, Midfielder of the Year, South Central Region Player of the Year, D2 CAA United Soccer Coaches All-American. So hearing that then, is that for you just a result of hard work, sacrifices, making that jump?
Definitely. I think, like I said earlier, so that 2018 third team all conference award I got was the end of my sophomore year. And then after that, I went to Corpus Christi. And usually what I'd do is I'd go home over the summer. But this was when I made my first sacrifice to be like, okay, I'm not going to go home. I'm going to see my parents. I'm going to stay in Texas and really put my head down and work. Do you know what I mean? And I got all those accolades for Corpus Christi and came back my junior year to St. Mary's, and kind of the ball kept rolling for me. So I was really thankful, because it's like, you know, when you do something and you get the rewards after it, and it just makes you feel really good. It's like, okay, that was all worth it. You know what I mean? So that was definitely the success of hard work and sacrifices, for sure.
Yeah. And for people looking to maybe make the jump from whether it be an academy in England or, like you said, BTEC, whatever it is, would you recommend making the jump over to America, or do you think you need tools put in place to make that jump already?
I think it completely depends on how you are as a person. I think coming to America is a very difficult process. It takes a lot of balls. You just have to be prepared to be on your own for a lot of the time, you know what I mean, away from family and stuff like that. But it is very difficult, especially to start with. So I would personally advise it to everyone. But at the same time, it's not for everyone. And some people might not enjoy it as much as we do, or be as successful and stuff like that. So it just really does depend. But I would definitely advise people to look into it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's really important. I think so many people now make the kind of mistake of not making that leap of faith almost. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like happy to sort of live in that comfort zone. Do you know what I mean? And it sounds, talking to you and hearing from you, that a lot of that you've not spent in the comfort zone. Like you said at the start, you've not seen your family in a year. I mean, it's not easy, is it? For you, it might seem easier. For a lot of people, that's just like unimaginable. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that's really important, mate. So moving on then, kind of like you said, going to Corpus Christi and sort of realizing that now, okay, I'm starting to get going. Did you start to feel a little bit of a difference between yourself and maybe others at St. Mary's as time kind of progressed after Corpus Christi, after these awards, that maybe, listen, I've got something here a little bit?
I think so. I mean, obviously there was a small circle that I was always going to be close with, you know what I mean? But I do think, I know what you're getting at. I do think there was a time where I kind of, I don't know how to put it. I definitely think there was a time where I kind of separated myself slightly, because I wanted my dreams and ambitions to come true. And there were some people, like I said earlier, there are some people that play collegiate football or soccer, whatever you want to call it, and completely understandably, they're not trying to make a career out of it. They're there because they got good scholarship offers and they enjoy playing football, and they want to get college paid for, which is completely understandable, you know what I'm saying? But I think I started to, unintentionally probably as well, I started to kind of divide myself from those people, because we had different paths and different ambitions. And I was still great with everyone on the team, you know what I'm saying? But I think off the field, you subconsciously spend less time with them and start to spend time with people that have the same goals and ambitions as you know what I mean? Which for me was usually the international lads, because a lot of international guys come over to the States with that goal in mind, to be a professional, you know what I mean? So I started to hang around more with them. And I think that's just something that you don't even realize you're doing it until you look back on it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
So moving on to the kind of the professional game then, obviously the move to San Antonio and things like that, how has this move come about, and how has that sort of worked that you've ended up there? Is there like a process or?
So how did it start? So just before COVID hit, actually, I was training with them. So this was what, January, February time, 2020.
Yeah.
I was training for pre-season, and it was going really well, and the coach liked me. And unfortunately, so the way it works in the USL is each team has a limited number of international spots. So unfortunately, they were out of international spots for that season, so they didn't sign me, which I think was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because then COVID hit and stuff like that. So I think I was just safer. My position was safer in the college game, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of clubs folded and a lot of clubs lost a lot of money. So I felt I was safe at St. Mary's where I was, you know what I'm saying? And then in November of 2020, I started training. They called me in to train with them again. during the off season, and you know, I felt like I impressed. And then a month after that, in December, is when they offered me the contract and were like, "Yeah, we want to take the gamble on you." You know.
Wow. Okay.
How did you feel when you put pen to paper?
Mate, it was the best moment of my life. There were so many things. Like, I was speaking to my agent, and every day it was like, okay, yeah, they want to sign you, but there was always like one problem, or visa work or paperwork, and it was like, I felt like in my head, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to really go through. But finally, when I signed it, I was like, it's done. You know what I mean? And it was really emotional. It was an emotional moment for me and my family as well. But I was relieved to get it over the line. You know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, were you there on your own? Because obviously your family, did they come all the way to America for it, or were they still in?
No, I mean, the travel restrictions at the time just didn't allow for it. You know what I mean? So it was just me and my roommate at the time from St. Mary's that sat there and read through the paperwork and signed it.
So feelings then, you know, like you said, it was an amazing moment for you, but also for your family and back home, friends, sort of thing. Was that almost like, obviously they would have seen you grow up and the releases you've had, making the jump over to America, and now you're signing, you know, your first professional contract on a 2-year deal. How are they? You know, what was the reception like back home?
It was incredible, mate. I mean, I remember when I first announced it on social media, and like the love and support that I got from so many people, and even people that like I didn't necessarily know, but maybe people that were friends of my dad's that knew me when I was a baby and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And the messages and stuff that I got was just really heartwarming, and I feel like it made me realize that, you know what, Ollie, you have done something special here. You've made so many sacrifices, and you've achieved the dream that you've had since you were a kid. You know what I mean? And it did get emotional. It kind of made me realize, you know what, fair play. You've done it, and you deserve it. And you know, I was a really happy moment, mate.
Yeah, for sure. So going forward from that moment, then making your debut, following on from that professional contract, how do the two compare? Professional contract, debut, similar or?
That's a tough one. The debut was special, mate, and I'll tell you why the debut was good, because so obviously I went to school in San Antonio as well, and so I had all my boys from St. Mary's that were there, loads of people in the crowd. You know what I mean? I only played like 5-10 minutes or something like that, but like when I came on, the ovation that I got was like something I'd never experienced before. I'd never played in front of that many people, so that was a special moment for me. It's a tough one though.
Hard to compare.
It is hard to compare, mate. I say they're both because there's no point in signing a professional contract if you're never going to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also possible to play your first professional debut if you don't get the contract. So I'd say they're both at the top. They're both at the top.
Okay, and then kind of going on from that, then it's obviously I've seen so many clips, assists, goals, sort of thing. You know, feelings of that you're now, you know, really starting to almost make your mark, kind of thing. How does that again compare to the other two? Do you feel like you've made quicker progress than you thought, or has it been a longer transitioning period for you?
It's a tough one. I mean, the first few games, mate, I was really, really nervous. And I think what held me back originally, I was kind of not playing like myself. I was letting maybe little mistakes get into my head, and it's tough because it's frustrating when you're not playing the way you usually play, you know what I mean? But I think the nerves have started to fade a little bit, and I see myself playing the way I know I can play. And I feel like I'm adjusting well, you know what I mean? I'm loving every minute of it, and I'm just really grateful for the journey that I'm on. And wherever it takes me, mate, it takes me, you know what I mean? I'm just enjoying the process.
Yeah, no, 100%.
As a player, what would you say what's your best thing for you? Like, what makes you better than everyone else? Not everyone else, but you know what I mean? What makes you get that professional contract? Would you say technical ability, vision, anything? Like, what would you say is your best?
Yeah, I'd probably say my vision or my dribbling. I like to be a player that makes the final pass or beats a man 1v1. You know what I mean? I like to be an exciting player to watch. So I'd say that is one of my strengths for sure. Yeah, defending my weakest.
Oh, defending, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely my weak. But I'm working on it. Slowly but surely.
So, you know, comparing the levels then between obviously all three, so San Antonio, Corpus, and then St. Mary's, do you feel a big jump between the three? And do you feel definitely a progression each time?
Yeah, the biggest jump is obviously to San Antonio FC. I mean, we've got guys on the team that there's one guy that played against Mbappe and Neymar a few years ago in League One. We got guys played for the US national team as a kid, guys that played MLS, like people from all over, you know what I mean? And the level is extremely high. But I mean, when you play and train at a high level every single day, you just feel yourself getting better and better and better, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they're not flipping. No one's obviously Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, but these are some of the best players I've played with, and I'm just enjoying playing and working with them every single day.
Yeah. Would you say it's more than you expected? Because some people look at America and be like, "Oh, it's only the American League," and just kind of downplay it. Would you say like, "Nah, be real, the American League's serious. Like it's not crazy."
It's serious. I mean, all of the people that I've played with in America are like the best players I've played with. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, I played in academies and stuff like that when I was in England, and these are people that are just out of this world. Like some of the things I see. I mean, we have a guy on our team that's been linked with Bayern Munich and Barcelona. You know what I mean? That just shows the level. You know what I mean? Obviously, I think it's definitely downplayed in Europe. The American League is definitely something to keep an eye out on for sure.
Yeah, that's an important thing, I think, because being from England, both of us being from England, sort of thing, that's definitely something which I feel like it's getting better. But definitely 4 or 5 years ago, there was that sort of what's the level like over there, sort of thing. And for myself, I'm out of here comparing it to sort of, especially under 18s academy football back in England. You're like, oh wow, it's better than I thought, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's a lot of people like us that have been released from academies and that are coming over. So it just goes to show that a lot of the levels are similar, because if you've got 150 guys every year coming over to the States from academies in the UK, then the level is going to be very similar to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously, as years go by, then more and more kids come over, and more and more and more and more and more, and then it just gets to the point where it's almost like you're playing for an academy. You know what I mean? That's the kind of level that you're at.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to touch on actually was in terms of the system there in England. Obviously, you've experienced both now, so you're not at the top end, but you've definitely reached a certain level now over in America. And having been in England, how do you compare the systems? Because obviously in America, taking a degree alongside your football or your soccer, if you like, is obviously very different to that in England. There's no way taking a degree whilst you're playing for Scunthorpe. Do you know what I mean? So how do you compare that? Do you think that's a problem for English football, or something?
I do think so, because over here, I mean, all it takes in football is one injury for your career to be done, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really clever the way they do it over here, because if you are getting a college education at the same time and you do have a career-ending injury, let's say, you've got a degree to fall back. You know what I mean? And I think it's a really smart way to do it. I think the difference is that in the UK, football's so much more cutthroat, and they're trying to find the next Mbappe, the next Messi, the next Neymar, stuff like that. So I think what the problem is in the UK is that if you're not good enough to play football professionally, you're kind of cut out of the system instantly. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas over here, you're given a chance, and you get a college education side of it. And I think that's just a smarter way to do it. But it is obviously, it does show in terms of the level in England and the level in the USA in terms of professional levels. Obviously, the Premier League is a lot better than the MLS.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on what you want. If you want a really successful league, then probably the way we do it in the UK is the best. But if you want a slightly less successful league, but also more pathways in other areas of life, then America's the way to do it, you know?
Yeah. So I guess kind of going forward for you then, ambitions for the future, you obviously made quick progress in almost a short space of time, if you like. What's your ambitions then? MLS, get into the team you're at currently and play more, score more? Or is it longer term? Are you thinking, I want to come play back in England, I want to show what I can do there? Or a bit of both?
So I mean, short term, obviously, I want to become a regular for San Antonio FC. You know what I mean? This is my second home now, and I want to really show the fans that what I can do, and I want to be a success story here. You know, long term, MLS is definitely a level I want to achieve. With regards to coming back to England, the problem is with football, mate, is that you just never know. It can take you here, there, and everywhere. You just never know. I mean, coming back to England would be really nice, but at the moment, I think my eyes are set on, you know, being as successful as I can here, and if I can, moving up to the MLS level, if that's possible. That's my realistic goals at this moment in time.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. And to kind of finish off then for us, if we had to say 3 tips on how to be successful, not just for ourselves, but also for anyone watching, what would you say is the most important things?
I would say dedication. I would say resilience, and I would say self-belief. I would say they're the 3 things. You've got to be dedicated to the cause. You've got to be resilient to know that it's not always going to go your way. And yeah, I think you just got to bounce back from those things. And self-belief is just, it kind of ties into resilience. When you do get let down or have a setback, you've just got to believe in yourself that, you know, they were wrong, and just keep going, keep pushing forward.
Yeah, for sure.
And last thing for me is, would you say like being an athlete has made you just a better person in general, not even on the pitch, off the pitch?
Oh, mate, definitely. I mean, like I said earlier, I've met some amazing people through this sport. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, I see it now as like, you realise that being a professional, especially in a well-supported club like San Antonio, is like, you kind of, there's been a few times where in the street I've been stopped by kids and asked for photos and stuff like that, and it just makes you feel like an idol, you know what I mean? And so you just have to take that responsibility on, and I feel like I've definitely grown as a person because of it.
Sometimes you have to pinch yourself a little bit to think, wow, like, so how much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Because I mean, I look back to, you know, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, and I was in a completely different position. You know what I mean? So it all happened so quickly, and sometimes it is a bit hard to believe, but at the same time, it's something that I've wanted since I was a kid. So you kind of you just roll with it. You know what I mean?
100%. Listen, mate, we really appreciate you coming on. I think there's some great things on there for people to kind of take. I think for anyone watching, one of the biggest things I've taken from it is sacrifices you've got to make to be successful. I think that's so important. And I think Ollie's probably the biggest one we've had on so far for that key attribute of sacrifices, you know, making a sacrifice to kind of move abroad, stay abroad, not come back because of his football. It shows you that if you kind of stick in there and keep on going, like, chances are going to kind of present themselves. So 100%, mate, really, really appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
It was nice talking to you. Learn a lot. You've made big sacrifices, and it's nice to see that it's working for you, and hopefully you get to the MLS that you want to. And we, both of you, wish you the best. And yeah, just to anyone watching, just be sure to like, subscribe, throw a comment. If you have any questions, his socials will be in the description, so mine and Sammy's. And that's it from us.
Cheers,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.